What would your life and business look like if for 1 year you dedicated yourself to going all in? This is the subject of today's episode. Hello and welcome to the High Performance Consciousness Podcast. My name is Matthew Paddy, and again, I will be your host for today's show. So this, if you're listening to it as it comes out, is the first episode of a new year, 2021. So happy new year to you, and thank you for your support. Thank you for your feedback, your questions, and your support in sharing this with as many people as possible to help grow it and get this message out there. I absolutely honor you and thank you for showing up for yourself as well. So typically at the beginning of each year, you have what you may very well know is the New Year's resolutions. Personally, I have never engaged in New Year's resolutions for the sole reason is they simply do not work based on choosing a date in the calendar that represents the start of a new year. Because your point right now is the start of a new year. If you're listening to this in a week's time, a month's time, 6 months' time, today is the start of a new year, should you choose it to be. So let's also think about the likelihood that New Year's resolutions fail. Okay, so the New Year's resolution is typically a one-hit wonder. It goes to the top of the pops. It gets all the attention and the notoriety in your mind, in your body, in your actions, and then it slowly burns off. And typically within the first month to maybe 3, that New Year's resolution has been forgotten and placed into the waiting list for this time next year. Don't let that be you. That is not a sign of going all in. A New Year's resolution is not, in my language, from my point of reference, is not going all in on a year, 12 months, 365 days, okay, 52 weeks. It's not going all in. It's a moment's decision based on what you feel you lack in the present moment, okay? So let's dive in. Going all in, what would it look like? What would your business look like? Your business results, the type of clients that you work with, the hours that you're committed to putting into it. What does your life look like? What does your bank balance look like? What does your time off look like? What does your circle of influence and your sphere of support look like as a result of you going all in this year? Well, I can tell you from personal experience that going all in means 2 things. Number 1, it's a concept, going all in on the ideas I already possess, on the desires I already have. Going all in on those. Remembering that going all in on our desires, typically, and this is not a judgment, typically our desires are born from a perceived lack or a perceived void. So I desire a better relationship or a more loving relationship. I desire more money or an increased bank balance. I desire to be debt-free. I desire to have all these sorts of things you might be saying to yourself. So the desire is typically birthed from a void. That's not a bad thing. It's giving you an impulse to stretch, to advance. So that's the first point. Your desires typically are born from the current concept of what you deem is void in your life. Number 2, within the current desires that you have is a sphere of influence. A sphere of influence, or put it this way, a universe. So your desire is capped based on your neurology. And what that means is that unless you can wire your neurology, wire yourself to that desire and beyond, seldom will you experience it. So the second point is really open yourself to stretching desires, your desires, what you choose to focus on, what you choose to go all in on for this 12-month period Stretch it beyond your current level of desire. And the reason I say that is because when you sit with your list of desires, I want this much money, this much revenue, this much cash in bank, this many clients, this much influence, this size tribe, or whatever it may be. You are typically, how long have you been sitting on that desire for? Is it just birthed yesterday? Or has it been something that has been brewing in your warlock or wizard or good witch's cauldron for 6, 12, 18 months, maybe 2 or 3 years? The reason I'm suggesting this is stretch beyond your current desires, because your current desires, what you take into your current desires are all the thoughts and the feelings and the actions you have and have not taken to get what you currently experience. So your current reality, again, is the sum total of all your thoughts, actions, and feelings up until this point. So what you see outside of you is the reflection, the coalescence, the collapse of wave into particle, of energy into matter, of everything in the past. So what you see outside of you right now, all your results, you are seeing your past efforts appearing as real, appearing in the world of tangibility, the world of matter. So when you can get that, you can understand that, and you can lean in to it even more, then you will grasp a huge, huge advantage in accelerating your wins, in bending reality, and bringing that which you desire, those experiences you want to have and realize, you will bring them into faster fruition. Okay? So going all in, what does that look like? Again, this is a huge question. It's an open question, because going all in based on last year's results, last year's efforts, last year's thoughts and feelings is really limited, because now you're looking at your past as a reference point. You're looking at your past to say, I want more than that, and that's okay. But how much more? And you want to do things differently. You want to engage the potential of a new year and the potential that is stored within the all-in principle. You want to engage it with an expanded view. So you will hear me say quite often in these podcasts that where you are right now is point A. Where you want to be is point B. I would like you and encourage you to stretch to point C. Point C is a vantage point from which you can look back at point A and look back at point B and say, that is where I was. I remember when I was going through that. I remember experiencing those times. You are no longer experiencing it emotionally or chemically within the body, within your neurology. You no longer experience it as a chain reaction. You are now experiencing it or observing it through the eyes of wisdom, because you have surpassed it. So for this year, this 12-month cycle, stretch beyond your B. Go out to the further reaches, the farthest reaches of your own universe, your known universe. Go into the unknown. Now that might feel a little bit overwhelming, a little bit unsure, a little bit unstable, maybe a little bit insecure or fearful. I do not know what I do not know. Therefore, what I do know is that my beliefs may not take me there. My current beliefs may not take me to my destination of C. So crudely speaking, it's like driving an old jalopy. A jalopy car, a bit of a bruiser. And you want to go on a 5,000 kilometer or mile road trip. Now, the chances are that it's going to make it, because it's proven itself already. Chances are that the jalopy is going to run into certain engine problems, wheel alignment problems, fuel line problems, whatever it's going to be. I'm not a mechanic at all. However, if you upgrade your vehicle, then your ride is smoother. You have a greater sense of confidence and a greater sense of certainty that you are going to arrive at your destination C safely, comfortably, easily, and more enjoyably. So that analogy is the all-in. You must build, hire, buy, invest is the better word, a new vehicle. The new vehicle is you. You, your body, and the way that you use your body and the way that you use your mind. So upgrade your vehicle, meaning upgrade the instrument that you are using to get the results or achieve the results, experience the results, experience the end reality that you desire. So going all in is a big question to ask. What does it look like? What would my business look like? And what would it feel like as a result of me going all in? I can tell you from experience that going all in, you know that there's more left in the tank. As you get closer and closer to your all-in number or your all-in experience, your all-in reality, you will gain greater clarity, greater certainty, and greater confidence on your capacity to lean even further in on your desires. So you'll start to see the fruits of your labor. However, if you hold back on your dreams, you hold back on moving forward with your business idea, you hold back on reinventing yourself, the language you use to engage your market, the language you use to engage your potential within yourself, you are short-sheeting yourself. Okay? And so potentially listening to this episode, and we are all doing this in some capacity, in some area of our life, we short-sheet ourselves. All right? So when you look to the areas where you have short-sheeted yourself, don't want to say that with too many tequilas, then you can actually say, well, I pulled back from the rim. I stayed in a comfort zone. I stayed in the known. I maintained my current universe. I maintained my current synaptic pathways. I maintained my current neurology, my current state of being. And that's okay if you're happy where you are. If you want change, change does not happen by itself. Change is the same as circumstance. You must want it and you must engage it. Okay? Change and synchronicity is actually linked. They are married. So when you start to think different thoughts and feel different feelings and take different actions, all principally aligned with your one end, you'll see what you will find, what you will see, what you will notice and observe are synchronicities finding you in the now. The field will respond. It will buffer the new information and it will give you feedback along the way. Your role is not to judge the feedback as good or bad. Your job, your role as a master is to lean in and explore what feels aligned and to prune that which no longer feels aligned. Pruning means to remove from your awareness. It does not mean to think about it and obstruct it and block it and resent it and resist it and fear it showing up again. It means to remove it from your awareness, which means you do not observe it. You continue to observe the alignments and you move, pivot backwards and forwards, forward and back, up and down. You move in alignment with the thread of those synchronicities. And looking back at C, when we forecast forward, we go all the way 12 months from this moment listening to this podcast, this episode, and you look back, there is no way that you could have predicted the turn of events that occurred to bring you precisely where you meant to be. No way. The people, the places, the events, the circumstances, the opportunities, the potentials, the rewards. So whilst you stay in a known universe, you are actually atrophying. You are reducing your brain capacity. You're reducing your physical capacity to experience. Now that sounds like a harsh statement. It's true. When you are not learning new information and you are not applying that new information learnt into the field into your body, into the field, into action, then it is pruned and replaced with that which is known. So when you have new awareness, new insight, new information, and you move on that new knowledge, and through the application of that new knowledge, wisdom is born. Wisdom is the result. Wisdom is the proof of what you have achieved. Wisdom is the proof of what you have achieved. Okay? So what does going all in look like? Write it down. Write a list of all the things you want to experience in this next 12 months and become very definite about it. Anything that is on that list that you do not feel a burn for, you do not feel like you are totally possessed by the idea of experiencing or achieving, remove it immediately. Prune that which is lazy or that which is lower vibration, that which carries a heavy density. Prune it from your life. Okay? So this is another part of going all in. Everyone thinks that, well, I'll start fresh and I'll go forward in a larger capacity and I'll run faster, I'll run harder, I'll lift heavier, I'll eat less or eat better, I'll have the best marketing campaign, or I'll stay hyper vigilant and hyper focused, and you have unrealistic expectations of yourself because you aren't actually pruning all the density that you're carrying into the new 12-month period. It still exists. And so it will find you on your journey. It will find you so you can clear it, clear your junk. So part of this all-in practice is to look at all the areas of your life that are not working, to look at all the experiences and the results you're currently experiencing and define what's working, what's enjoyable, and what's not. And do yourself a favor, gift yourself the ultimate gift, and start pruning those areas of your life. Maybe it's pruning people, some people. Maybe it's pruning some types of conversations. Maybe it's pruning the habits that you have that have supported your current results. Maybe it's the eating, maybe it's the sleeping, maybe it's the overworking, maybe it's the lack of open communication. Maybe it's the inability to express yourself. Maybe you're shut down. Okay, so look to the areas of your life that carry density and lean in on those to clear them. Clearing does not require you to go back into the graveyard, dig up all the skeletons and face them, look them in the eye or in the eye sockets of the skull and deal with it all. If you make a new contract, a new agreement with yourself, that is no longer part of your future, you no longer subscribe to that reality, then by virtue of that new contract, that new agreement, that new decision, if it is burning enough and that you desire change enough, it will be pruned from your neurology. It must. It is quantum law. So it may find you, remnants of it may find you along your path. But you will deal with that. You will use the same methodology and observe it without judgment and ask, why now? What lesson do you have? What wisdom do you have for me? What information do you have for me? Because the grandest trap and the biggest tripwire to you going all in and experiencing your best year ever is your emotional density. You getting stuck in emotional habits, old emotional patterns, reactive patterns, and throwing little temper tantrums on the inside. It's not going my way. Things aren't happening as smoothly as I want. Lean in on it all, prune which is no longer desired, and give focus and attention to that which is. And move your awareness to point C. Unpack point C. There's a very specific process to do this that I go through with some of my clients when they're ready, and it works like a dream. This is not a bypass tool. This is an ascension, an expansion, and an upgrade tool. And it moves you, moves mountains, and it moves potentials into reality very, very quickly. So I'll leave you with that to ponder on, to think about. What does your all-in year look and feel like? And who are you? What is your new instrument that is going to take you there? So from me here to you there, wherever you are in the world, dream a better dream. And remember, it's still all you, baby. See you in the field.